Well, I was right. When I talked about how, we hadn't got a new page or chapter yet to straps and links. Well, I said it might come probably the day I did the recording, and lo and behold, it did. What a way to end 2024. Basically, what happens is that the siblings hear a ringing at the door, or yeah, the ringing of the doorbell, and Zigzag's like, she's asking, "What's that?" And Brandy tells her, "Oh, right, our grandparents are coming over today." And Zigzag's like, "What?" And basically, Brandy opens the door, welcomes the grandparents in, and you can tell kind of where Zigzag gets her tiger skunkness from, because of course the grandfather's a tiger and the mother's a skunk. But anyway, Brandy welcomes them in. They definitely are coming off as sweethearts and everything, if you will. Like, you know, I don't know. They're like it feels like they're gonna come off like the more understanding, cool grandparents. Kind of understanding, loving, cool grandparents and all that. So that's what it feels like they're coming off as to me. Excuse me, to me. But anyway, they Brandy welcomes them in, and um, the grandmother mentions, because they also bring in with them Tina the Lynx. Yeah, Tina Lynx comes in with them, and they're not aggressive. Like I said, they're very loving, very kind. Like the cool grandparents, if you will. It feels like to me. And she asks, is if this is somebody they know, that they found her looking around in the hallway. And Zigzag answers, "Yeah, she's with me." And she kind of waves to them, says hi. And in the grandmother's like surprised. I wouldn't say total. Well, she's in shock, but also genuinely surprised. And she's like, "Oh my gosh," or "Oh my goodness." And then her response when she sees her is calling her by her real name, which is Tanya. That's right. Zigzag's real name, I don't know if Max Black Rabbit or Eric W. Shorts confirmed this beforehand, is Tanya. But yeah, the grandmother's kind of surprised to see her. She's like, "Oh my goodness, Tanya." She's like, "Oh my goodness, Tanya." And Zigzag has to correct her by saying, "Grandma, I haven't gone by that name in years. I've legally changed it to Zigzag, Egg, and everything. She tells us that, yeah, she might still be Tanya and everything to her grandma, but that she's legally now Zigzag. She had it changed and everything, you know. And basically the grandma's like, "Well, I don't know if I can ever get used to calling you Zigzag, but that she'll always be her little Tanya to her." And, Zig's like, "Yeah, I know." And Tina's like, Tina gives that aw kind of thing. I don't even know if Tina knew her real name was Tanya. Again, I don't. Someone's got to correct me on that if Max Black Rabbit or Eric W. Shorts confirmed that. But yeah, basically, it's a nice little chapter reuniting with the grandparents who are happy to see her and everything. Like I say, they feel like, or at least the grandma does, feel like, kind of that cool grandparent or cool grandparents, loving, understanding, and all that. And like I said, you can kind of tell where Zigzag inherits more of the tiger skunkness, or the tiger stripes and everything more so than I think her siblings. But overall, it's a nice little final page to wrap this current run of the story, off on. Because this story's been going on for about, mostly, almost a whole year. Um, it started about, like, what was it? 41 weeks ago. So yeah, it's been going on for about almost a whole year. And it's and it's just glad to see it kind of cap off this current run of it, at the end of the year, with a nice little reunion with the grandparents and Zigzag. And I think honestly, with the grandparents coming in, we're gonna get our answers, because I think this is what Zigzag needs. Like, okay, parental figures are here. obviously they watch out for the siblings and everything, because I don't know if the mother's still around. You guys got to correct me on that one. I think she may have passed and all that. Again, correct me if I'm wrong. Because we know the father was abusive and everything, in story. So again, correct me if I'm wrong, guys. I think the mother may have passed and all that. So it feels like the grandparents come over to check up on the siblings every now and then, because again, Zigzag is putting funds into their account to take care of them. So again, correct me on that, guys. I'd love to get your thoughts on it. But again, I think the grandparents coming in, we're going to get some answers finally. And I think the grandmother, and maybe even the grandfather, but I think more so the grandmother, is going to be understanding, of of the situation, and she might know a little bit more about something that might answer Zigzag's questions. It's like, okay, why do I do this? Because I'm sure Zigzag's going to open up to her and say, this is what I did and everything. And the grandmother might be very, I wouldn't say might be, but will be very understanding. And she'll probably take her aside and open up to her and say, yeah, well, there's a reason you're like that, and here's why. And then we'll find out maybe if it's maybe the grandmother that has a past that's similar to Zigzag, or maybe the daughter, which I'm assuming is the mother and all that, who's not there, had a past, and maybe there's a connection with Endora. We'll have to see. Because again, I still feel that there's something lesbian, LGBTQ, if you will, when it comes to Endora's past, and maybe the connection she might have with Zigzag's family and something there, but we'll see. We'll see. Or maybe, it's both going to be similar in background, when Sabrina gets the answers she needs out of her mom, and then, Zigzag gets the answers from her grandparents, that maybe there's a similarity to what's going on. Like, Zigzag gets, it's the way she is. It's because maybe the grandmother was like that, and maybe the mother was like that. And so Zigzag obviously is going to, take that herself and, run with it. But also the negative part is, like them being affectionate, the grandmother and the mother being affectionate, that in turn she also inherited a bit of what her father is, and that is aggressive. Basically aggressive in her affection, and that sometimes being too aggressive can turn people off. So, maybe that's what we'll find out from the grandmother when Zigzag has this talk with her, with the grandparents, because that's coming. And then again, I think with Sabrina, she's going to ease into getting her mom to talk about it. And you know what I think is going to happen is we're going to get a comic page or two where both moments are happening simultaneously. Where both, the grandparents are opening up about about why Zigzag's the way she is, and maybe she inherited, the affectionate part, and from the mother and the grandmother, but also a little bit of the aggressiveness, from the father and everything when it comes to the affection. And then I think simultaneously on that same page, we're going to see Endora opening up to Sabrina, and maybe that's when we find out of Endora's past and how she used to be kind of like Zigzag in that department, if you will. Kind of bisexual, LGBTQ, and all that for a bit, which she's now trying to hide. She's trying to forget about and put in the past. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I thought, this was a nice way to wrap things up and everything. I still think, honestly, we're going to get a Fur After Dark comic series, kind of side comic series with Zigzag and Tina, or maybe to wrap things up to, so Endora gets it out of her system or whatever. Maybe Zigzag and Endora, but we'll see. We'll have to see what happens. But anyway, I thought this was a nice little closure for the new year, and can't wait to see, how much more the story's going to be going, because I think we're just at the tipping point, and I think this might, if not will be, Eric's longest story to date, going into next year. Because we're just at the tipping point, and now things are about to get juicy and really interesting as the weeks go on, as we begin 2025. But anyway, though, guys, I just wanted to do this little update discussion a day after I did the other one on this New Year's Eve. And that's all I'm going to say for this now, guys. And until next time, God bless. Take care. Have a safe and happy New Year's Eve out there tonight. Be careful. Be safe, especially those of you who are going to be in Times Square. And check out my content. Links in the description. Teespring store link is at the bottom. Click on there to get content you can't get anywhere else. Also, check me out at deviantart.com at BVW1979. But guys, let me know what your thoughts are on all this. And until then, I will talk to you later. But yeah, have a safe and happy New Year's Eve. And I am out.